never, 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 never hit the snooze button. And let me explain why. When that alarm goes off, there's a small hesitation where I start to feel a little stressed and overwhelmed when I think about the day ahead. And it just feels so safe and so satisfying and so tempting to reach over and hit the snooze button and doze off for 9 minutes or 15 minutes. And then the alarm goes off again, and then I reach over and hit the snooze button, doze off for 9 to 15 minutes. And then the alarm goes off again, and then I reach over. And the reason why it's tempting to do that is because you're delaying having to deal with your life. You are giving yourself a false sense of control that I can find 9 to 15 minutes to just avoid having to deal with what I want to deal with. Let me explain to you why the snooze button is such a dangerous thing to do for your productivity, your happiness, your mindsets, your ability to be a deliberate thinker, your ability to be in control of your life. The way that sleep works is we fall asleep. We sleep in cycles of about 75 to 90 minutes, and then we start another one. And we go into another sleep cycle for 75 to 90 minutes. And then we typically start another one, and we start another sleep cycle that goes 75 to 90 minutes. And after 2 or 3 sleep cycles, or heck, if you're lucky, 4 of them, your body and brain go into a mode where for about 2 hours, your brain just goes into a state where it's getting ready to wake up. So for those of you that wake up naturally before an alarm goes off, or the alarm goes off and you've had anywhere from 6 hours plus of sleep, your mind is now in a state, it's not in a sleep cycle, where it is ready to wake up, it is ready to start the day, it is ready to hit the day. If you wake up in that state and then you reach over and hit the snooze button and you doze off for 9 to 15 minutes, what do you suppose your brain is? If you're thinking a sleep cycle, you'd be absolutely right. And how long does a sleep cycle last? A sleep cycle lasts 75 to 90 minutes. So you drift off into a sleep cycle, your brain does, which lasts 75 to 90
Time to see what you have learned.
All of a sudden the alarm goes off 9 to 15 minutes later. Your brain is in a sleep cycle. You are in a medical, neurological state right now that scientists call sleep inertia. It means that by falling into a sleep cycle and waking yourself up 9 to 15 minutes in it,
that's
the limbic region of your brain is now...
secure more cash than the enemy.
I'll take it. We should drop there. Disregard not. I'll take it.
I say we drop in here. This spot looks good. This spot looks good. This spot looks good.
Enemy soldier incoming. You're exposed. Get moving.
Fuck shit up.
Positive ID on the bounty target. Eliminate them. soldier incoming. Enemy soldier incoming.
This is here if you need.
Primary LC standing by.
Got
Soldier
movement
incoming.
here. Moving there.
Weather here. Goodbye.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Displacing.
Bounty target is up. Take him down.
Moving.
I've got it.
There's some armor. Got movement here. Got movement here.
Enemy attack chopper is in the AO. Down and
Priming explosive.
bounty target is down. Well done. Bounty target identified. You're clear to engage.
Shifting location.
You're compromised. They see you.
I've
Got
got
movement. Moving there. I got this. Go. Moving. Come on, keep it together.
You are still alive. Stand up.
There's some armor.
Bounty target is down. Well done.
Tag the bounty
Locate and
contract.
secure
Mark the care
cash.
package. Marked cash helo. Mark the helo.
I've got you. I can pass it.
Moving. That seat's mine. Mark cat. Tag the scavenger contract. Shifting location.
We need to
Getting
move.
there now.
Get ready.
Copy. Extraction is inbound.
Done.
Extract is on station. Ready for pickup.
This is here.
Moving out. Mark some gear. I'll take that.
Cargo's on board. Exfil is leaving the AO. Cargo extracted. Good work.
Mark some gear.
Solid copy. Helo is inbound for extraction.
Enemy helo.
There's a helicopter here.
Extract is on station. Ready for pickup.
Tag the scavenger contract. Heading there now.
I will.
That seat's mine.
Cargo is secure on board. Extraction helo heading out. Cargo extracted and secure at base. Supply cache located. Move to secure.
Contract objective mark.
There's a care package here.
I'm grabbing that.
This is here if you need.
Target marked. Cleared hot.
This is Builder 2-0, good copy. Cluster strike away.
Contract target,
Allied
mark!
clusters tracking the target.
Still got 15 on foot, less than a second away.
Trapped in a mind, we fall asleep 9 to 15 minutes, and then the alarm goes off again, and then I reach over. And the reason why it's tempting to do that is because you're delaying having to deal with your life. You are giving yourself a false sense of control that I can find 9 to 15 minutes to just avoid having to deal with what I want to deal with. Let me explain to you why the snooze button is such a dangerous thing to do for your productivity, your happiness, your mindsets, your ability to be a deliberate thinker, your ability to be in control of your life. The way that sleep works is we fall asleep, we sleep in cycles of about 75 to 90 minutes, and then we start another one. And we go into another sleep cycle for 75 to 90 minutes. And then we typically start another one, and we start another sleep cycle that goes 75 to 90 minutes. And after 2 or 3 sleep cycles, or heck, if you're lucky, 4 of them, your body and brain go into a mode where for about 2 hours, your brain just goes into a state where it's getting ready to wake up. So for those of you that wake up naturally before an alarm goes off, or the alarm goes off and you've had anywhere from 6 hours plus of sleep, your mind is now in a
Check your
state,
gear and
it's not
weapons.
in a
We
sleep
go soon.
cycle, where it is ready to wake up, it is ready to start the day, it is ready to be delivered.
Soldier incoming.
If you wake up in that state and then you reach over and hit the snooze button and you doze off
You're
for 9
compromised.
to
They
15
see you.
minutes, what do you suppose? If you're thinking a sleep cycle, you'd be absolutely right. And how long does a sleep cycle last? A sleep cycle lasts 75 to 90 minutes. So you drift off into a sleep cycle,
soldier
the brain
incoming.
does, which lasts
Got the
75 to
visual
90 minutes.
Training is
All of
over.
a sudden,
Time
the
to see what
alarm
you have
goes
learned.
off
RPG!
9 to 15 minutes later. Your brain is in a sleep cycle. You are in a medical, neurological state right now that scientists call sleep inertia. It means that by falling into a sleep cycle and waking yourself up 9 to 15 minutes in it, the cortic region
Lumber.
of your brain is
Mission
now
is simple.
trapped
Secure more
in a
cash
sleep
than the
cycle.
enemy.
And do you realize it takes your brain, once you're awake, 4 hours to shake itself loose of the state of sleep inertia?
spot looks
Why
good.
is sleep inertia a bad thing? Studies prove that when you're in a state of sleep inertia, it impacts your speed of processing, it impacts your ability to focus, it impacts your ability to do any kind of strategic thinking. There's only one way to shock yourself out of sleep inertia, and that's to step in a cold shower. So if you ever have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning when you probably are in the middle of a sleep cycle, just step in a cold shower. That'll shock your brain awake, and you'll be out of a state of sleep inertia. If you keep hitting the snooze button, I am going to tell you something. It's going to make your anxiety worse. It's going to make your depression heavier. It's going to make your attitude negative. It's going to make your ability to focus harder. It's going to make your ability to be
Advised. Enemy team
deliberate
is tracking your
harder.
location.
And the simple
Enemy soldier
solution is to force yourself out of bed. So today, here's your assignment. Tonight, when you go to bed, let's build on
Shifting
this.
location.
You're going to plug your phone in outside your bedroom, and you're going to do the phone challenge so that the phone is
Dropping
nowhere
into
near
the
you.
AO.
Tomorrow morning,
Mark the hostile.
when that
Got
alarm
eyes on
goes
you.
off, use the 5-second
Bounty
rule.
target has
Do
been
not
marked.
reach for the snooze alarm. You're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are going to get out of bed. If you have to wake up very early, hop in a cold shower, getting you out of bed. That's all I want you to do for today.
Enemy
I
dropping
want
into
you
the
to
AO.
take the
Watch
no
out,
phone
enemy's coming.
and add in the no snooze button challenge. And I want you to notice how different you feel. I want you to notice if you're a chronic snooze button hitter. Do you feel a little bit more awake? Do you
Enemy
feel a
dropping into
little
the
bit
AO.
more focused? Do you feel less groggy than the mornings when you hit the snooze button over and over and over again? Because you know what? The answer is yes. You are going to feel less groggy. Yes, you are going to feel more awake. Yes, you are going to be more in control and more deliberate about what you're thinking about.
Mark some gear. Disregard that. Mark some gear.
Primary LC is marked. Extract is standing by.
It takes
Bounty target is down. Well done.
Tag the bounty contract.
and thank goodness it's not.
Heading there now. Tag the bounty contract.
Not 10,000. How do we learn? How do we learn things quickly? How do we learn things in a way that allows us to go from knowing absolutely nothing about a skill to being really good in a very short period of time? There's one idea that keeps
Bounty
me
target identified.
over
You're
and
clear
over
to engage.
again. The 10,000
Buy
hours.
station left. Heading there now.
It takes 10,000 hours to learn something. It's not true, and thank goodness it's not true. The order of magnitude of going from knowing absolutely nothing to being really good and knowing that you're good is about 20 hours.
Placing.
The first
You're safe. Lost the enemy trackers.
So most of the things that we think of as skills are really just one skill.
Bounty target
They're
is down.
bundles
Well
of
done.
smaller sub-skills
Tag the bounty contract.
that we use in combination. Right? So imagine a skill like golf. Driving off the tee and chipping on the green have very little to do with becoming very few skills. But those are skills if you want to go to play golf.
Bounty
instead of
target
trying to learn
identified.
golf as a
You're
global
clear to
sport, you
engage.
Bounty
break it apart
contract.
into these smaller parts and you practice the most important sub-skills. The things that you're going to use most first. Now, the third part is researching.
Moving.
Researching just enough that you're able to identify the most important subjects, but also understanding and being able to self-correct as you're practicing. So go out and find 3 to 5 books, courses,
Relocating.
DVDs,
Cancel that.
trainers, people or resources that can help you do that initial deconstruction and understand which are the
Moving
specific
position.
sub-skills that are going to help
Copy
you
on
get
your mark.
as good as you possibly can, as quickly as possible. Now the trick is, don't
Got a
allow
target here.
research to become a form of procrastination.
They've got
in
eyes
itself.
on you.
The best approach is to pick 3, 4, 5 resources. You don't go through them completely. You skim them. Identify
that.
the ideas that come up.
Enemy
over
dropping
and
into the AO.
Shit, they
That's a
tagged
very
me.
clear indication that those concepts, and
Moving
those
there.
techniques are particularly important. So those are the
Moving.
things that you should know. So you can self-
Get up. We have work to do.
And those are the sub-skills that you should probably do. Is removing barriers to practice. Making it easy
Much better.
to sit down and actually do the thing you want to get better at. So in our lives, we have thousands of distractions. We have the television and the internet and social media.
Enemy UAV
and,
overhead.
And family members and friends and all of the things in our lives that make us so
Moving.
busy. During the practice process, turn off the TV. Block it. Close the door. Remove the distraction.
Bounty target is down. Well
Take your
done.
focus away from the things that you're trying to practice. And make sure that that time
Enemy
that you
UAV
have
overhead.
Bounty contract.
to practice in a way that is going to make you better is as undivided and focused as possible. And fifth, and very importantly,
There's some
pre-commit
armor.
to at least 20
Mine.
hours
Positive ID on the bounty target. Eliminate them.
before you begin.
Bounty target is
And that's
down.
really-
Well done.
There's no magic to it. It's just focused, strategic effort.
Tag the bounty contract.
Mine.
And something that is going to be rewarding to yourself and to your life. Learning the process is necessary.
Bounty target is up. Take him
What
down.
we're doing in this process is really just removing all of the frustrations, all of the barriers,
There's
all
some
of
armor.
the things that get in the way of us sitting
Attack chopper carrying cash. Shoot him down.
Moving.
Even in the busiest states, if you can clear half
Mark cash helo.
an hour, you will be astounded.
No, wait lang.
Don't seek happiness. Happiness is like an orgasm. You think about it, it goes away.
You've got the visual on you.
Here we go. You don't have to have something you've always wanted to do, dreamed of, go for it. After all, it's something to do with your time, chasing a dream. And if it's a big enough one,
already.
most of your life to achieve it. By the time you get to it and are stuck into the abyss of the meaninglessness of your achievement, you'll be almost dead, so it won't matter. I never really had one of these dreams, and so I dedicated pursuit of short-term goals.
Mark cash helo.
Micro-ambitious. Put your head down and work with pride. You never know where you might end up. Just be aware the next dreams will probably appear in your future, which is why you should be careful with long-term dreams. If you focus too far in front of you, you won't see the shiny thing out the corner of your eye. 2. Don't seek happiness. Happiness is like an orgasm. If you think about it too much, it goes away.
Recon drone.
You might find you get something. Constantly content. Contented Homo erectus got eaten before passing on their death.
You've got the visual on you.
Understanding that you can't truly take credit for your successes, nor truly blame others for their failures, will humble you and make you more compassionate. Empathy is intuitive, but is also something you can work on intellectually. 4. Exercise. I'm sorry, you pasty, pale, smoking philosophy grads.
Mark cash helo.
The human movement mob winding their way through the miniature traffic cones.
Shifting location.
You are
Back to
wrong.
recon
They are
contract.
right.
Never mind.
Play a sport, do yoga, pump iron, run, whatever, but take care of
Airstrike
your
target
body.
marked.
You're going to need it. Most
This
of
is
you
building
are going to
20,
live to nearly
good.
100.
Allied
And even
UAV
the
overhead.
poorest of you will achieve a level of wealth that most humans throughout history have not dreamed of. And this long, luxurious
Enemy
life
dropping
ahead
into
of
the
you
AO.
is going to make you depressed. Be honest on your opinions. A famous bon mot asserts that opinions are like assholes, and that everyone has. There's great wisdom in this, but I would add that opinions differ significantly from assholes, and that yours should be constantly and thoroughly examined. We must think critically and not just be hard on your legs. Be intellectually rigorous. Identify your biases, your prejudices, your privileges. Most of society's arguments are kept alive by a failure to acknowledge nuance. We tend to generate false
Enemy
dichotomies
helo!
and then try to argue one point using entirely different sets of assumptions. Like two tennis players trying to win a match by hitting beautifully executed shots from either end of separate tennis courts.
Allied UAV overhead.
6.
Moving
Be a
back.
teacher, please. Please, please be a teacher. Teachers are the most admirable and important people in the world. You don't have to do it forever, but if you're in doubt about what to do, be an amazing teacher. Even if you're not a teacher.
Secure cache.
7. Define
Bounty
yourself by
target
what you
has
love.
been marked. Kill them.
Someone asks me what sort of music I like, I say, well, I don't listen to
Bounty target is down. Well done.
Or if someone asks me what food I like, I say, I think truffle oil is overused and slightly obnoxious. And I see a lot of the time online, people lose idea of being part of a subculture is to hate Coldplay or football or feminists. We have a tendency to define ourselves in opposition to stuff. As a comedian, I make my living out of it. But try to also express your passion for things you love. Be demonstrative and generous in your praise of those you admire. Send thank you cards and give standing ovations. Be pro stuff, not just anti stuff. 8. Respect people with less power than you. I have in the past made important decisions about people I work with, agents and producers, big decisions based largely on how they treat the wait staff in the restaurants we're having the meeting in. I don't care if you're the most powerful cat in the room, I will judge you on how you treat the least powerful. So there. 9, finally, don't rush. You don't need to already know what you're going to do with the rest of your life. You will soon be dead. Life will sometimes seem long. And then there is only one sensible thing to do with this empty existence, and that is fill it. Not fill it, fill it. And in my opinion, and what I think, life is best filled as much as you can about as much as you can. Taking pride in whatever you're doing, having compassion, sharing ideas, running, being enthusiastic. There's love and travel and wine and sex. Kids.
Attack the bounty, large cash elo.
You know all that stuff already. It's an already exciting thing. This one medium.
Enemy dropping into the AO. Bounty target has been marked. Kill them.
Got a target here.
Copy that. You're exposed. Get moving.
Enemy sight.
Enemy soldier incoming.
The biggest is for how you can fulfill your mission.
You're exposed. Get moving.
A lot of people they unconsciously think money is evil.
Got movement here.
Allow that money to come in. Very first step
Got movement here. Got movement here.
most people don't realize
Got movement here.
they're listening and to themselves about 70,000 times a day. 70,000. There is some research studies.
Airstrike target marked.
And the other thing that's
Phoenix
more startling
State, good
is
copy.
the
Striking
mostly
bomb.
repetition. They're the same thoughts. They want to do things the economy's wrong, the president's wrong, the timing is wrong, I don't have enough education. All of these kinds of negative thoughts keep people stuck up. They don't go for the dream. They react to life, they kind of crawl through life with no enthusiasm, no sort of energy, and no belief in themselves or the possibilities of something better. What the law of attraction is teaching people is that you have a choice. You can change your thinking. One way to look at this is the thoughts you're having right now are primarily negative. So that's the first thing to notice. Your thoughts are primarily negative. The second one is, you're not your thoughts. You are separate from your thoughts. And this is massive, earth-shaking news if somebody's hearing it for the very first time. There have been books that are called, You Are Not Your Mind, You Are Not Your Brain. And what they're saying is, these thoughts that we're having them. We're not them. If we can detach enough to go, oh, here comes that I'm not good enough thought again, and let it go by, we are one step removed from it. Now we've clipped off that energy that was causing us to feel bad because of that thought. So that's the second step, is to become aware that I'm not my thoughts. Third step is to start to generate what you do want to think. And this is where things like affirmations, positive thinking, positive statements, instead of saying I'm not good enough, begin to say I am good enough. Begin to say this can work out for me. If this material has worked for other people, why can't it work for me too? I tell people the biggest reason to be independently wealthy is for how you can fulfill your mission. You're fulfilling your divine calling. You're fulfilling whatever it is that you're feeling is your vision for a complete life. And so I think at that point, that is beautiful. What a fantastic reason to have wealth or to have jet. It's a difference you can make in people's lives.
Such a fascinating concept, Joe, because a lot of people in the quote-unquote spiritual world, they have this real dysfunctional relationship with money and possession. And I usually say to them, look, the money allows you to scale your message and help more people. As soon as they see it, then the whole concept of quote-unquote sales becomes more interesting. All of it becomes a means to a greater end of a greater good. But a lot of people see money as this bad thing, dirty thing.
If they unconsciously think money is evil, they're not going to allow that money to come in. Why would you want anything evil in your life? You will not allow money to come in as long as you think it's bad, it's evil, it's going to corrupt you, it'll
Warm up
corrupt
all
other
you
people,
can. We
it's
deploy
tainted
soon.
in some way. This is an unconscious belief that virtually everybody has. So the first thing I do to help people with it, and I want to help you and you right now with this, is to realize that is a shortened biblical phrase. And the longer phrase is, the love of money is the root of all evil. So let's look at it even deeper than that. The wealthy people I know, including myself, I'm not in love with it. They appreciate it. That is a massive difference. And realize, oh, money is actually exchange. It's freedom. You don't have to give goats in exchange for the old barter. Now we have something called money. Well, it's not bad. It's not evil. It's paper. It's coin. It's nothing. You know, it's a symbol for energy. And so I tell people that when you realize money is neutral, that you don't fall in love with it, that you use it. What do you use it for? Just talking about it. To build your needs, to build your business, to make something of service to you. Money enables you to do all of these things. There was an author, Arnold Patton,
Plunder.
who said this wonderful
The
quote.
mission
I
is
wish I had
simple.
originated
Secure
this
more
quote.
cash
It's so
than the
good.
enemy.
But I always give him credit, and I always repeat
This
it.
spot looks
The
good.
sole purpose
There's
of
a vehicle.
money
Active scavenger contract. Active bounty
sole
contract.
purpose of
Active
money
bounty contract.
is to express appreciation. When I first heard it, I thought, well, it's bounty.
That's where we should
Then I
land.
started thinking, well, when I pay any bill, it's for something I wanted. I bought a guitar here in London. It's like I wrote a check. I'm really grateful to have that guitar. When I pay my internet bill, or I pay a car payment, or I buy whatever it happens to be, I say thank you. Because the sole purpose of money is to express appreciation. This is entirely
Enemy dropping into the AO.
love and gratitude. If you don't love money, you use it.
Exposed. Get moving.
I'll tell you a true story. A few months ago, I stayed at Four Seasons in Las Vegas. It is a wonderful hotel. And the reason it's a wonderful hotel is not because of the fancy beds. Any hotel can go and buy
Allied
a
UAV
fancy
overhead.
bed. The reason it's a wonderful hotel is because of the people who work there. If you walk past somebody at the Four Seasons and they say
Shifting
hello
location.
to you get the feeling that they actually wanted to say hello to you. It's not that somebody told them that you have to say hello to all the customers, say hello to all the guests. They actually feel that they care. Now, in their lobby, they have a coffee stand. And one afternoon, I went to buy a cup of coffee, and there was a barista by the name of Noah who was serving me. Noah was fantastic. He was friendly and fun, and he was engaging with me, and I had so much fun buying a cup of coffee, I actually think I gave 100% tip, right? He was wonderful. So as is my nature, I asked Noah, do you like me? And after giving me, Noah says, I love my job.
You're compromised.
And so I followed up and said, what is it that the 4 seasons is doing that would make you say to me, I love my job? Throughout the day, managers will walk past me and ask me how I'm doing, if there's anything that I need to do my job better. He said, not just my manager, any manager. And then he said something magical. He says, I also work at Caesar's Palace. At Caesar's Palace, the managers are trying to make sure we're doing everything right. They catch us when we do things wrong. He says, when I go to work there, I like to keep my head under the radar and just get through the day so I can get my paycheck.
Allied UAV overhead.
He says,
enemy UAV overhead.
I be myself.
Airstrike target, mark.
Same person.
This is Phoenix 3.
Entirely different experience from the customers who engage with Noah. If we create the right environment, we will get people like Noah at the 4 Seasons. If we create the wrong environment, we will get people like Noah at Caesar's Palace. You know the quickest way to destroy trust and destroy cooperation in a business, literally in one day? Lay people off, and everyone gets scared. And forget about the people who lost their job. Think about the people who kept their jobs. Because every single decision a company makes is a piece of communication. And the company has just communicated to everybody else, this is not a meritocracy.
Got moving here.
We don't care how hard you work or how long you've worked here. If we miss our numbers and you happen to fall on the wrong side of the spreadsheet, I'm sorry, we cannot guarantee employment. In other words, we come to work every day afraid. And we're asking our youngest generation to work in environments where how would any of us ever stand up and admit, I made a mistake? We're constantly being told, you have to be vulnerable. Leaders are vulnerable. What does that even mean? It doesn't mean you walk around crying. I'm vulnerable, right? No, what vulnerability means is you create an environment in which someone feels safe enough to raise their hand and said, I don't know what I'm doing. You've given me a job and I haven't been trained to do it. I need help. I made a mistake. I screwed something up. I'm scared. I'm worried. All of these things no one would ever admit inside a company because it puts a target on your head in case there's another round. And so we keep it to ourselves. And how can a company ever do well if nobody's ever willing to admit they made a mistake, that's scared, or they don't know what they're doing? And so we've literally created cultures in which every single day, everybody comes to work and lies, hides, and fakes.
They've got the visual on you.
And we're asking our youngest generation to work and succeed and find themselves and build their confidence and overcome their addiction to technology and build strong relationships at work. We're asking to do this, and these are the environments we've created. We keep saying that you're the future leaders. We're the leaders now. We're in control.
Get moving.
What are we doing? This is what empathy means. It means that there's an entire generation struggling. It's not them. It's like, you know, the only thing that the common factor in all my failed relationships? Me. Same thing. Well, we just can't get the right performance out of our people. It's not a generation. It's not them. They're not difficult or hard to understand. They're human beings like the rest of us, trying to find their way, trying to work in a place where they feel that someone cares about them as a human being. By the way, that's what we all want.
Copy that.
It's not even generation.
Contact!
This is the process. If you're struggling to communicate to someone, if you're struggling to help someone be at their natural best,
the target. Send it.
I'm tired of people saying to me, how do I get the best out of my people? Really, that's what you want? They're like a towel, you just wring them. How can I get the most out of them? No, how do I have best?
Impact.
Here's the lack of empathy. This is normal in our business world. You walk into
Hostile
someone's
dropping
office,
into the
someone walks
area.
into our
Watch the
office
sky.
and says,
Here it
your
comes.
numbers have come down for the third quarter in a row. You have to pick up your numbers, otherwise I can't guarantee what the future will look like. How inspired do you think that person is to come to work the next day? Here's what empathy looks like. You walk into someone's office, someone walks into your office and says, your numbers are down for the third quarter in a row. Are you okay? I'm worried about you. What's going on? We all have performance issues.
Enemy soldier
Maybe
incoming.
someone's kid is sick. Maybe they're having problems in their marriage. Maybe one of their parents
Hostiles in
is
the
dying.
area.
We don't know what's going on in their lives. And of course it will affect performance at work. Empathy is being concerned about the human being, not just their output. We have to start by practicing empathy and relate
There's
to
a
what they
vehicle.
may be going through, and it will profoundly change the decisions we make. It will profoundly change the way we see the world.
All right, passenger.
Mission failed. Stand down.
I was diagnosed with an incurable cancer of the central nervous system, neuroblastoma stage 4. Doctor said no chance of survival. Take your boy home and allow him to live the next few months with his family because there's nothing that we can do. But like everybody in this room, we all have choices, and the choices that we make each and every day can reshape and remold and redefine our future. My mum asked one question. I don't want to know what the chances are of my son dying is. I just want to know what the chances are of my son surviving this.
Enemy attack chopper is in
The doctors gave me a 96% death rate. They said go home. But my mum looked at my glass being 4% full and not 96% empty. But the next day, a doctor came in from America. He said, we're trialing a drug, it's called DTIC. Never been trialed on humans before, only on animals. We're going to trial it on 25 kids. And I truly believe that outside of love, hope is the most powerful word in the English dictionary. This instilled hope into our lives. Within 1 month, 20 out of the 25 kids had passed away. Within 90 days, 24 out of the 25 kids were dead. My mum, she would sit there and she would watch a doctor come in and zip up a body bag
has been marked.
and wheel them out because of the same drug that she chose to put me on. I say to people all around the world that I'm one of the lucky ones. But I never say I'm one of the lucky ones because I'm still alive. I say I'm one of the lucky ones because I wasn't my mum. My mum had it tough. She had to make the choice to inject the drug into a child that has killed everybody that had ever taken it. Until one day I was finally allowed to go home. The doctor said to my mum, your son, he will never go to school, he will never play sport, he'll be a housebound baby, and if he reaches his teenage years, he'll be a miracle. But we believed in miracles. And my mum wanted my dreams to come true. When I was lying in hospital, my mum bought me a Velcro glove and a Velcro ball. And she'd sit at the end of the bed and she'd lob the ball at me, I'd catch it and I'd throw it back till she gets further and further away until eventually I said to her, I have a dream, and that dream is to one day play baseball in America. And people laughed at me. Nobody in your life will tell you what you can do. They'll only ever tell you what you can't do. My dream was to play baseball in America, and I wanted to do everything in my power to make sure that happened. And there was a lot of hiccups along the way. I had my first heart attack when I was 12. I had glandular fever, I had bacterial meningitis. But people kept telling me I wouldn't do it. So it made me work really hard to make sure I could do it. I was lucky enough at the age of 17 to sign a contract and live in America and play baseball. But as you know, life is like a roller coaster. You can get to a pinnacle point in your life and it can get taken away from you in a heartbeat. At the age of 18, I was playing baseball in Phoenix, Arizona. I split into a base at second and I woke up 3 days later.
Watch the sky.
And at the age of 18, I suffered a career-ending heart attack and I was sent home. I was a depressed boy. I thought life wasn't fair. And I would pray every night, but I wouldn't wake up in the morning. I just wanted God to take me. But I kept waking up every morning. Yet every time I've been knocked down, I always remember what my mum's taught me. Son, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get back up that truly determines the quality of your life. When I got home, I I got a job in banking, no disrespect to anybody in finance. But this guy, day 3, tall old guy came in. He said to me, Michael, I'm Tom, I'm the CEO of the I had no idea what CEO stood for, but I just went in there and listened. He said, Michael, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? I had no idea where I was going to be on a Friday night, and that's really all I cared about, and who I was hanging out with. I had no idea where I was going to be in 5 years' time. But my mum always told me, son, choose the moon, and if you miss, you'll end up in the stars. So I said to him, Tom, in 5 years' time, I'm going to take your job. He hated me. Don't ever say that to your boss, okay? They do not like you when you say that. But within 12 months, I was the youngest bank manager in Australia. Within 2 years, youngest area manager. 3 years, youngest state manager. Within the 4th year of being with this company, I was the youngest national sales development manager for one of the largest companies in the world. At the age of 23, I had 600 staff, had 120 banks around Australia and New Zealand. I made lots of money. I lived in $1 million house, had a $100,000 sports car, wore the Armani suits and the Rolex, and I reported directly to my mate Tom. But can you imagine if we look at success not about the materialistic possessions that we can take from this world, but rather what we can give back to this world that makes it a better place than what we found it? I was fortunate enough to be in a position to be able to do something for the most inspirational, the most influential, and the most loving person I've ever met, and that was my mum. On June 16 last year, I was lucky enough to put a pink ribbon to a brand new home. And I got a chance to buy my mum a brand new house. To be able to give back to someone that has sacrificed so much for me is without a doubt the greatest gift. And when I was 7, I heard through the curtains the doctor say to my mum,
Contact!
he will never go to sport, he will never play baseball, he will never ever go to school, and if he reaches his teenage years, it'll be a miracle. And my mum, she walked out, and I said to her as if I didn't hear, what did the doctor say? And she said, everything's going to be okay. When I was 12, I had a heart attack, and the doctor said to my mum, he will never play sport again. She walked out, and I said, what did he say? And she said, everything's going to be okay, son. And earlier this year, I finally got a chance to return the favour. Unfortunately, earlier this year, the doctors found 4 tumours in my throat. I've never seen my wife cry so much in all my life. The doctor said to me, Michael, we're sorry, but tomorrow's not guaranteed. You need to slow down. But that's one thing we all have in common, because no one's guaranteed. I think that life is not about the amount of days that you live on this earth, but it's about what you fit into those days that allows you to live a remarkable life. And I remember driving home, and she called me, my mum, and she said, Mike, what'd the doctor say? I said to her, Mum, watch the time. Every one of us, every single day, is blessed with the air that we breathe, the opportunities that we have. And I challenge you every single day to get out of bed and do something that you yourself be proud of.
He said, Ink, get up, let's go. I said, I can't. I said, there's a shock going through my whole body. I can't feel anything, man. I still remember the day I was in the film room watching film, and I was watching the California Bears, and my defensive backs coach, Larry Slade, came in the room. He said, Inky Johnson, I got some good news for you. And I dropped the clicker, and I said, Coach, what is it? He said, son, you're a projected top 30 draft pick. He said, all you have to do is play these next 10 football games, you're an automatic multi-millionaire. I ran out of the room, I got on the phone, I called my mother and my grandmother, I said, listen, I said, after this season, we would never struggle. I said, we would never miss another meal. I said, after this season, our lives are about to change forever. And little did I know our lives were really about to change. First game we come out, play against California Bears, I get an interception, we shut them down, we get the victory. Second game, we're playing against Air Force. It gets late in the game, found ourselves in a dogfight. And I approach the tackle like I approach any other tackle. And the way I'm approaching it, either I'm gonna knock you out or you're gonna knock me out. I'm 165 pounds. I can't play with anybody. But at the point of contact, when I hit this guy, something different happened that had never happened to me before in my life. I hit him and it seemed as if every breath in my body left. My body went completely limp. I fell to the ground. I blacked out. I'll never forget when my eyes opened, my teammates ran over to me. My first guy that was over was Gerard Mayo, the middle linebacker for the Patriots, one of my best friends. And he said, "Ink, get up, let's go." I said, "I can't." He said, "What do you mean you can't? You're out lockdown corner. We need you. Let's go." I said, "I can't move." I said, "There's a shock going through my whole body. I can't feel anything, man." I looked at the doctor because I couldn't feel my right arm. They had poked me with all type of needles. "Inky, can you feel this? Can you feel?" I couldn't feel a thing. I said, "I'll be back." Never thinking that would be the last game that I would ever play in my life. They took me back, they ran the CAT scans, and they rolled me back into my room, and I'll never forget it. All in about a 15-second time frame, I was lying there in my bed. My father, he went to take a step in and he looked at me and he said, "Son, I can't do it." And he walked out. My mother, she came in, she was running, she kissed me on my forehead, she said a prayer, she said, "Ink, everything is gonna be okay," and she ran out. And as soon as my mother stepped outside of the room, the doctor rushed in from the opposite side and he said, "Hey, get in here, we gotta rush this guy back to emergency surgery, he's about to die." I said, "What?" He said, "My mom just told me everything was going to be okay." He said, "Son, what happened? You have busted up subclavian artery in your chest, you're bleeding internally. Have to rush you back and take the main vein out of your left leg and plug it into your chest in order to save your life. Have to rush you back and take the main vein out of your left leg and plug it into your chest in order to save your life." And when I woke up from recovery, the same doctor was standing over me. He said, "Inky, I have some good news and some bad news for you." I said, "You got some bad news for me?" After telling him I was about to die, I'm still alive. How bad can it get? I'm still here. He said, "The good news is, son, we saved your life." I said, "Thank you, sir." He said, "The bad news is you have nerve damage in your right shoulder." I said, "Cool." He said, "But the problem is, Ink, you probably can never play the game of football again in your life." I said, "No way." He said, "Yeah, Ink, you got some pretty bad nerve damage." I said, "No." I said, "Doc, no disrespect, man, but I'm 8 games away. Like, Doc, no disrespect, but this is about to change my family's life. Doc, I've been working for this ever since I was 7 years old. Doc, there's no way. God, not now, God. Like, let me make it to the NFL so I can help my family first. Like, we miss Mills. And you're talking about my career could end right now? Like, no way." And I snapped out of it. I said, "Man, I never cheated." I said, "There's no way. I never cheated. I never cheated myself. I gave everything I had to it, and I respected it. I never cheated. There's no way that my career can be over." I said, "Send me up to the Mayo Clinic." And after several visits, I'll never forget, this is when reality set in. It was me, my mother, my father in the room, and the doctors came in. They said, "Inky Johnson, here's the deal." They said, "Son, we hate to tell you, but your arm, it would never be the same again. Your hand, it would never be the same again. Son, you could never play the game of football again." They said, "Son, here are your surgery options. We could take a muscle out of the back of your left leg, plug it into your right arm, but there's a possibility that you'll be left with a weak left leg and a weak right arm the rest of your life. Or we could take a nerve out of your left arm, reroute it up to your chest, down into your right arm, but there's a possibility that you'll be left with 2 weak arms the rest of your life. Or we could take a nerve out of your left rib, reroute it up to your chest, down into your right arm, but there's a possibility that you'll be left with a breathing problem and a weak right arm the rest of your life. By the way, tell us what you want to do in the morning." And the next morning, I walked into the doctor's office. They said, "Son, what option did you choose?" I said, "No disrespect to you, Doc. I'm not choosing an option. My situation is out of your hands." I said, "No disrespect to you, Doc. Cut me where you gotta cut me." As I stand right here on this stage before you today, they cut me 6 times down my left thigh. They cut me 2 times across my right rib. They cut me 2 times across my right pec. They cut me 1 time across the left side of my neck, 1 time across the right side of my neck. They cut me from the bottom of my armpit all the way down to the bottom of my hand. And after they got through cutting on me, they said, "Son, you're gonna be in this hospital for the next 40 days. I walked out of the hospital on the 3rd day. They said, "You broke a record. How did you do it?" And I said, "First and foremost, the thing I want y'all to understand, I would never let a circumstance or a situation define my life." I had been working my whole life. And what I didn't understand, by being determined to chase something, by being committed to it, and what commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you have set it in has left. You see, people think commitment is saying, yes, I'll do it on the days when it feels good. But I have been committed to everything that I ever started in my life, and I never stopped and I never quit it. And so by being committed to everything that I started, I finished it. It built a certain type of spirit. It built a certain type of mentality. It built a certain type of individual. And so now I couldn't quit even if I wanted to. I couldn't lay in the bed even if I wanted to. I couldn't stop even if I wanted to. I had too much sweat equity in my life and everything that I was doing. Because I understood my existence wasn't about me. I went from me to we a long time ago. I understood the process is more important than the product. It wasn't about the outcome for me. Whether I made it to the NFL or not, that was inconsequential in God's plan for my life. But I was going to fall in love with that process because I understood by falling in love with that process, it was going to turn me into a machine.